Welcome back everyone. This is just a quick guide to the repository of learning resources that we've been using during this training series. In particular, I'm going to show you how you can run the code notebooks. So you can run and change and execute the Python code yourself. So you can test what we're doing in these lessons, but also write your own code and maybe try and play around with your own web scraping script. So the first thing to note is that we have an online repository containing all of the presentations, all of the code books, some kind of further resources and reading lists that you might find interesting. And the link to this is posted on the NCRM website. And it's located here on a platform called GitHub. So as you can see, this is essentially a folder of learning resources. A little description of the course. So this course was first run in May 2021, and now this is the kind of online learning resource version of it. So what we're interested in, and as you'll have seen me in the other lessons, is I've run through these online code books. So I've been executing Python code and I've been showing you the results in real time. Now you can do this yourself by installing and downloading Python onto your own machine, plus all of the associated packages needed to do web scraping. I do encourage you to do that for your own future work, but for the purposes of learning and of this course, you can execute all of this online without installing anything on your own machine. And here's how you do it. So if we head to the code folder in the repository, you'll see a list of 5 code notebooks. So again, these are the notebooks you'll have seen me demonstrate throughout the training series. Now the way to launch them online, so you can run the code yourself through your browser, is if we click this button here, the Launch Binder button. Now I'm just going to right click and say open in a new tab, just so we don't lose the repository link itself. So in essence, what this does is it basically launches a kind of a very contained and small version of a computer on the cloud. And the results are very quick in this instance. Sometimes it can take up to a minute or 2 minutes, so don't worry if it takes a wee while. But in essence, instead of you trying to install everything on your machine, this binder service creates a very small, just a very purpose-built computer on the cloud that allows you to execute the code notebooks that I've put together for you. So you're faced with a screen like this, where you'll see the list of the 5 notebooks. So in essence, as you can tell, we're now able to see all of these files and folders. The key difference now is we've essentially created a computer in the cloud. So if we now click on the first code book, for example, this is in lesson 3, as you may remember. What you're now faced with is an executable code notebook. So now all the code will run on the cloud, which is very, very useful. So for example, just to show that it does work, here's a little, sample piece of code just to say we're up and running with Python. Basically the code asks you to enter your name and then it spits out a message depending on what it is. So if I click on this cell and then I click the run button, so run just means execute the code. You can see that the code has started running. It's asking me for some input. I enter my name, press enter, and it prints this message here. Just to show again very quickly that this is running live on the cloud, that we're not, I'm not demonstrating this or recording anything. Let's, for example, import what we need to execute the web scraping. So the requests module, the beautiful soup module, which you'll have come across in the lessons. So here we go. So let's request a web page just here. So this is our example web page from lesson 3. We get a 200 status code, which from the lesson, you remember, means we've successfully requested the web page. So let's say I make an adjustment to the link or the web address, and now this shouldn't work. So let's show that it doesn't. Exactly, we get a 404 status code response, which means I've made a bad request for a web page. Now that you're running this notebook online, you can make whatever changes you want, like I've just shown here. If you do make changes, then you should use the file and the save as options. Actually, don't do that. Use the download as option. and then download it as a Python notebook. So this is the same tool that we're using here. You can also download this document as a Python file itself, which is like a text file, but just lots of Python code contained within it. You can also download this as a HTML file, so it looks like a web page, very similar to the repository here. Now, because you're using this Jupyter Notebook online on the cloud, you can make whatever changes you want and it won't affect the underlying code. So the code I've written that you've just launched, using the binder tool, that will always stay in place, unedited, or else, it will change if I make changes. So you can, remove the worry that you'll break anything or change anything drastically. If you do want to save your work that you've done, oddly enough, you don't use the save function. You can go to the download as, and then if you want to keep it in this current format, which is a Jupyter Notebook, you can download as a notebook. If you just want it to be very similar to a text file, so a Python file, which is just a long kind of list of code, you can do it as that. And if you're happy with all of the outputs you've produced by running the code, you can download this file as a HTML file, which, as you remember, is a web page. So it'll look a bit nicer and quite similar to what we see here. So have fun. That's how you access the repository, and that's how you launch the notebooks, so you can execute and change the code yourself. So enjoy.